This is the explanation for a clock, a time, and a card. Now it's based on an old principle in card magic called the clock force. In a previous publication, which is more advanced, in fact I devoted a whole Kindle ebook to one routine of my own called Time Flies, and that involves a lot of sleight of hand. It's very detailed, involving numerous climaxes. This is based on the same clock principle. There's no sleight of hand in this version, but there are still numerous climaxes. It really is a superb self-working trick, really, and you'll be given a lot of credit for some great skill and mental power. And the principle is this: if you know the 13th card down in the deck, oh, Ace of Spades. If you know the 13th card down in the deck, then if somebody else takes any number of cards up to 12, we'll just say for example 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that represents a time, 5 o'clock, and they hide those cards. When you get this deck back, as long as it's in the same order, now you can cover all that with false shuffles if you so wish. If you take the next 12, top 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and turn them over, the card which you remember as the 13th, which in our case is the Ace of Spades, it will be in the same position, i.e. fifth as the same number of cards that were taken off the deck. Okay? That's the principle, to know the 13th card down. Now in this routine, it becomes a lot more effective by making sure the 13th card down is a different colour. So here I have a Queen of Diamonds and it has a blue back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That goes 13th. Then you're ready to begin. Now of course, you know, obviously you can't give the deck out to be shuffled, but you could do an overhand shuffle up to about halfway, give the impression that you're really mixing the cards. If you know any false cuts, that's great, but it's not necessary. That's for the more advanced guys. Okay? I don't know if that was a false cut. 13th card down is a blue card, and it's the Queen of Diamonds. Okay? Oh, obviously you've got to make sure the Queen of Diamonds is not in the first 12 cards. The regular Queen of Diamonds. So that's how it works. Very simple. You give the instruction that you want them to think of time, to take that many cards to represent the time and hide them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do 7 o'clock. So they hide 7 cards. You take the cards back. Okay. You could go straight into the routine now, especially if you're a beginner. But even if you're a beginner, if you know a simple sort of little shuffle like this, yeah, and then back on top, or if you know a bit about cards, you can do this sort of thing, okay, which gives the impression that the cards are being mixed, but it's really the same setup on the top. Now what you're going to do is you're going to make a clock, and the first card is 1 o'clock, okay. Oh, sorry. First of all, you take 12 cards off, being careful not to show the blue card. So I just sort of do this, first couple, and then sort of bevel that over like that, bring the pack up a bit. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now from the bottom, okay, from the bottom, this bottom card will now represent 1 o'clock. Okay, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Look, 7 o'clock. That's the false card. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Do the 12 sort of that way to make it clear that this one's the one. So it's a nice picture, this, because this is a clock, obviously. And you say to the spectator, just think of the card that lands at your time. Now, of course, you're pretending that you don't know the time, but you already know the time is 7 o'clock, okay? And obviously it's the force card, the Queen of Diamonds. So that's what you do. You say, think of the time. And then you go 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, okay? So that's all pretty straightforward. So you tell them to think of the card and the time. When you gather the card, just make sure that the force card's in the middle somewhere. Gather the clock up. Okay. And the beauty about the trick is you're actually done, because you start doing the revelations now. You say you're thinking of a time. Yes, and then you do your acting. It's right. I think it might be 7 o'clock. That's wow. That's quite clever to them, because 7 o'clock. How did you know it was 7 o'clock? And then you say, think of the card. You reveal the card. Okay, so very gradually. Here I'm getting red. Is it a red card? Use your acting ability. I feel like it might be a diamond. I'm getting lots of colour actually. So a picture card, Jack, Queen or King. I think it's the Queen of Diamonds. Second, whoa, how did you do that? Okay, and then you obviously that's a second revelation. At the beginning, of course, I forgot to say, you have a prediction. Which is the Queen of Diamonds. You have that at the beginning folded up. So what's interesting here is you're pretending you're reading a mind, and you say, well, the reality is, am I really, you know, I suppose I'm not really reading your mind, because I sort of knew what you were going to think of. That's when you reveal the folded prediction, which is the Queen of Diamonds. That's 3 effects, and then you finish. You know, you bowl them over by saying, and what's even more amazing is, look at all these cards, all these that were in the clock. Obviously, they're all blue, but this Queen of Diamonds, all red. But the Queen of Diamonds, the one you randomly thought of, is the only blue card in the clock. Wow. So it's a multiple revelation, it's a multiple impact routine. So you're getting like 4 sort of moments of astonishment in the one routine. And as I say, it's all based on the idea that the force card, the blue card, is 13th card down. Okay. Of course, you can just start off like that and go straight into the routine. The beginners, the more advanced guys, obviously would want to do a lot of some false shuffling and false cutting. And if you were really brave, you could palm out the Queen of Diamonds, have them shuffle the deck, okay, and then in your own way, I've just added that to the bottom, okay, and you know, there's ways of getting that card now to the position you need. The obvious way would be, I've just done 12 cards, which are now on top of the blue card there. There's different ways you can get it to the 13th position, but once you're there, the clock force goes into effect, and you've got a brilliant routine.